Hello, good morning, it's Richard here, and today I'm going to be talking about and reviewing two boxed sets, Kate Bush Remastered Part 1 and Kate Bush Remastered Part 2. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I'm hoping to get through it quickly and give you a concise review of exactly what my opinion of these boxed sets is. First of all, Remastered Part 1. Packaging. I like it. I like the Fish People theme. It's the name of Kate's label. Also, the Fish People theme was carried through into the concerts. Those of you who were there will remember the Fish People under the ocean carrying Kate off at one point. Packaging, beautiful. I like the design. I think it's called Two Worlds by, I think it's Timorous Beasties, is it? I'm not too sure, I can't remember. I love the design. You've got the full sort of story of the under the sea and the sky with the helicopters. Yeah, love it. The only niggle I've got is that you have to tip the discs out to get them. You can't just select one easily. That's my niggle, but love it. So this set comprises of the first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The first 7 studio albums. Very, very quickly. The Kick Inside, yes, big thumbs up. Lionheart, big thumbs up. Never Forever, fantastic. Worth listening to. Clean highs, it sounds crisp and new. Bass isn't great, but it never was on those albums. I think it improves as you go along. Kate's use of bass is usually quite natural, I find, rather than the over-enhanced modern bass sounds that you hear now. Just so people know, I've been in and out of recording studios for most of my adult life, so I do have an ear for sound, and I can tell whether something has improved, and also I do have a relatively decent stereo. I don't believe in changing sound too much on a stereo. I don't believe in whacking bass up or, having to use graphic equalizers. I don't believe in that. I believe in hearing what the artist has given you. And my stereo tends to give you a very true sound. First 3 albums I think sound great. The Dreaming, this is my first bit of criticism. The Dreaming is one of my favourite Kate Bush albums. And one of the things I really like about The Dreaming is the way sounds leap out at you. I was a little bit disappointed with The Dreaming, to be honest. Sorry, Kate, if you're listening, love. I'm sure you're not. It feels like it's been slightly too compressed. Sounds didn't seem to leap out at me like they used to. Where I think the remastering comes into play are on the quieter tracks like All the Love, Houdini, tracks like that. So The Dreaming, it's okay, but I was expecting maybe slightly more. I should also mention that I'm a lifelong Kate Bush fan. So, I'm not new to Kate Bush. I know her music intimately. I know the albums back to front and have played them, most of them, to death. Let's make that clear. And these opinions are my opinions, based on what my ears are hearing on a relatively good hi-fi. Hounds of Love, I have to admit, I turned it off. And I turned it off when I got to The Big Sky, because I was so disappointed that Kate has replaced the album version of The Big Sky with the 7-inch mix. I really was very disappointed. That's all I've got to say on that. I skipped to the Ninth Wave. Ninth Wave, great, sounds great. What more can I say? It's worth it for the Ninth Wave. Hounds of Love, bitterly disappointed with the change of The Big Sky. That's all I'm going to say. The Sensual World. I've always loved The Sensual World, but it is a very busy album, and I was wondering whether any improvement would be made. I really enjoyed it. It was like listening to it for the first time again. Really clear. It feels as though the chaos of some of the tracks, because there are a couple of chaotic tracks on there, it felt as though that had been sort of cleared a little bit. So Sensual World, thumbs up, really enjoyed it. The Red Shoes, I have to admit, I've not played it yet. Out of all of the Kate albums, The Red Shoes is my least favourite album. I've always been slightly disappointed with The Red Shoes, and I think it's because when it first came out, I thought it was going to be a concept album, and it isn't a concept album as such. although Kate did attempt to turn it into a concept album with the use of The Line, the Cross and the Curve, the short film that she did, which I was at the London Film Festival to see many years ago, 25 years ago, something like that. And I really enjoyed watching it on the big screen, but I agree with Kate that it didn't quite work. Although I think the individual videos from that album are great. And I love Lindsay Kemp, bless him, may rest in peace. But yeah, I haven't listened to the Red Shoes yet. I will do. I haven't really had time and I haven't been driven sufficiently enough to listen to it. I have played it to death, don't get me wrong, you know, I have played it many, many times and I know the songs intimately. So I'll leave that one for the moment. Part 2. Now the reason I haven't done a review of both of these sooner is because I only received this, was it yesterday or the day before, I can't remember, because I had to wait for my money to kind of build up a little bit because they're not cheap. Part 2. Let's go through this one. Again, the box doesn't come out easily and you have to tip the things out to get them out. And these are slightly different design. So in here you've got Ariel, director's cut, 50 Words for Snow, Before the Dawn, and the other sides, which are the rarities and the B-sides. I'll start off with Ariel. I love Ariel. I think it's probably my most favourite, next to The Dreaming. And I was really interested to see what Kate had done to remove Rolf Harris. That was my first question when I knew the remasters were being done. I wanted to know whether she'd removed Rolf. I'm pleased with the decision. I think it was the best decision to make, because every time I played Ariel I kind of went ugh, a little bit, you know, when Rolf came on, and kind of felt as though I had to skip the track, and it spoilt it a little bit for me. It spoilt it a lot, actually, I have to be honest. Anyway, let's not labour the point, but she has replaced Rolf with her son, Albert, or Bertie, and it works. If anybody's worried about it or hasn't yet purchased Ariel because of that and has heard that Bertie has replaced Rolf, don't worry, it's seamless and it works really beautifully. The slight niggle I have is the beautiful backing vocals just before sunset starts and all the colours run, where she sings that. The backing vocals were beautiful, but it does work, don't worry. Also, the other thing I wanted to find out on Ariel from disc 1 is the little glitch on Joni. Now, if you've not heard this, on the original, there is a slight glitch where she sings Thousands of Soldiers. And it's almost like there's been a slight error on the filter, because on the original it suddenly goes clear at a very strange place. So it doesn't feel like an artistic decision, it feels like a filter glitch on the recording. Now, the remastering, I can hear that they have tried to smooth this slightly. Doesn't fully work. I think it would have been quite hard to have completely changed because it must be on the master. But they have smoothed that as well, so that's what I was looking for. But King of the Mountain has changed for me. It sounds amazing. So Ariel, fantastic, great job. Let's move on to the others. So the next one would be Director's Cut. Now I know there's been a lot of talk about the production of Director's Cut. When I first heard Director's Cut, I kind of got what she was doing. She was presenting this almost live sounding album. Whether she was preparing us for the live show to come, I don't know. But it felt like she was in the room. It felt like she'd produced her voice on some of the tracks to really pop out and sit with you in the room, whilst the music did other things around you. But a lot of people complained that it felt muffled. It never felt muffled to me. It just felt ultra clear in some ways, but the bass was quite in your face, and I do find myself turning the bass down on that recording. I feel they have done a little bit of alteration on it. I noticed a little bit of difference on the Song of Solomon. The backing vocals aren't as sharp and in your face as they were, but they still have impact. So Director's Cut, yeah, I love it. I loved it anyway, but I love it even more. 50 Words for Snow. Oh, I love 50 Words for Snow. If you haven't heard this album, or indeed gotten into it, because I know quite a few people had difficulty really getting into it. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. It has improved. Somebody wrote on one of the forums, it sounds even duller. It doesn't at all. If anything, it sounds a little bit more expansive. There were a couple of little saturation issues on piano, and I know this from listening to it on several different pieces of equipment. They've gone. That's no longer there, which is great. I mean, there's not much more to say about 50 Words for Snow. You have to immerse yourself in this album. I feel it's benefited. I mean, it's a slight difference, you know, but I do know the album very, very well. I played it many, many times. In fact, it's my go-to listen for winter. It's quite melancholy in places, and it does bring me to tears in a couple of places too. And it's quite dramatic as well. But yeah, I feel it's improved. I'm not going to talk about Before the Dawn because I believe that hasn't been changed since the 2016 version. And Before the Dawn is the live concert recorded in 2014 and released in 2016. And then the final disc is The Other Sides. Another packaging issue that I have is, I mean, it's beautifully presented. The discs are in these little wallets, and sometimes they're quite hard to get out, and they also scrape along the inside of the packet, and I worry that that's going to, over time, you know, scuff the discs. But again, really nice to hear some of the rarer songs that some people may not have heard before, and including Humming, which people are talking about. It's not my favourite track. It's great, but it's not my favourite track. I was much more pleased to hear things like December Will Be Magic again, which I absolutely adore, and it's the version that I really like, which I was hoping it would be. Things like the 12-inch mixes, Running Up That Hill, Cloud Busting, Hands of Love alternative mix, which I really love. So that's really great. It sounds amazing. It's great to hear those rarities again. If anybody's umming and ahhing about it, about buying these, I think they're really worth it. It's a great body of work. It sounds super. It sounds like Kate Bush. I mean, Kate Bush produces her tracks the way she wants to produce them. She doesn't really take her cues from other musicians. She deals with things the way she wants to deal with it. She uses a lot of natural instrumentation and tries to record it faithfully. She likes her busyness on many of her tracks. Lots going on, which in my experience is really hard to mix and put together and make it sound right. She doesn't always achieve perfection, but what is perfection? It doesn't really exist, does it? Anyway, that's my brief, honest review. I'm proud to own them. I love Kate. I always have. I will obviously be playing them all many times. Thank you very much. And also there's the pop-up shop at the moment down at King's Cross. And if I'm so inclined, I think I may be popping down there myself at some point. We'll see how that goes. I can't really afford to spend too much more money at the moment. But there you have it. Thanks very much for watching, and if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. It's not just about music reviews and Kate Bush, it's about all sorts of aspects of our lives. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, and bye for now. Thank you.